Okay, right. Let's unpack this one. We're diving into a really specific RC tuning challenge for you today. And this isn't, just fixing something broken, is it?
No, not at all. This is about fine-tuning, really finding that
Yeah, right.
synergy.
Performance synergy. From a pretty unique custom setup you've got. It's a vintage Tamiya Frog chassis, right? That 83 model, famous for being light.
Super light and all that weight way at the back. A classic handling challenge in itself.
Exactly. And you've gone and bolted on some serious modern competition gear, these TRF dampers.
Yeah, the aerated dampers. Item 54028. Very low friction, very precise.
And paired them with these kind of unusual springs, the CC01 barrel springs?
That's right, item 54666. Progressive rate.
Hmm.
And that combination, well, that's where things get interesting. So our mission really is to figure out the perfect damper oil viscosity, specifically for the rear end.
Right, got to manage that heavy rear bias and make these, mismatched parts work together smoothly, like a single system.
Precisely. And the absolute key to cracking this, it lies in those springs, the CC01s.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me. They aren't linear springs. You said they're progressive. What does that actually mean for how the car handles on the track?
It changes everything. Progressive means the coils start out soft.
Okay, soft initially.
Right. For those small movements, little bumps, chatter, which is great for traction, keeps the tires really planted.
Maximum grip over the small stuff. Making sense.
But then, as the suspension compresses more, like on a jump landing or a big head,
Yeah.
the spring rate ramps up dramatically. So the spring itself provides excellent resistance to bottoming out. It's built in.
Ah, okay. So the spring is doing the heavy lifting on big impacts. That is a game changer. So if the spring handles the bottom out, how does that change what the damper oil needs to do? What's its main job now?
That's the crucial insight. Exactly. See, in a normal setup, with linear springs, you often rely on thick oil to, prevent smashing the chassis on landings.
Right, the oil acts like a cushion.
Yeah. But here, the oil's primary function, it totally shifts. Now it's really focused on controlling the initial, softer part of the suspension travel.
So keeping it supple over the small bumps, fast reaction.
Precisely. Allowing that speed over chatter. And, maybe even more importantly, managing the energy when the spring rebounds.
Rebound damping. Because those progressive springs will push back hard.
Very hard, especially after a big compression. So the oil needs to control that release of energy.
Okay, wait. So if the spring handles bottom out and the oil is focused on initial travel and rebound, does that mean we need lighter oil than we might think?
That's generally the implication, yes. It feels a bit counterintuitive maybe for a heavy rear chassis, but we're shifting the priority.
Right. Prioritizing that sensitive reaction and controlling the rebound rather than just brute force damping for big hits. That's a key takeaway.
Exactly. It's about control, not just restriction. And to get that control right, we need accuracy, which means we need to talk viscosity units for a sec.
Ah, yes. We're using the Tamiya oils that came with the dampers, I believe, and they use the proper standard.
Sinstux, yep, C-same.
Yeah.
It's the scientific, reliable way. You absolutely have to ignore the weight or WT system some other brands use. It's just too ambiguous.
Agreed. CC is linear, right? So 400 is exactly double the viscosity of 200.
Perfect. That linearity is what lets you make precise, predictable changes. And the set you have includes the red, that's hashtag 200 CSN, orange, hashtag 300 CSN, and the yellow, hashtag 400 CSN.
Okay, so we've got the low friction dampers, these powerful progressive springs, the heavy rear end. Let's synthesize this. What's the recommendation? The sweet spot oil.
For the best all-around balance, the primary recommendation has to be the Tamiya orange, hashtag 300 CSN damper oil.
300 CSN, why orange?
It hits that equilibrium we're looking for. It's thin enough to let the suspension react quickly over the small stuff, maintaining that mechanical grip, right, traction. But it's got just enough thickness, enough damping force to manage that strong rebound from the progressive springs. It stops the buggy feeling, bouncy or unsettled after bumps or jumps.
Okay, 300 CSC sounds like a really solid baseline. Now, tuning is always about adapting, right? What about different track conditions? What's the framework?
Good point. So if you find yourself on a really loose, super bumpy track, think blown out dirt, where traction is everything.
Yeah, with that.
And you'd switch to the red, hashtag 200 CS. That much thinner oil lets the suspension be incredibly active really fast. It'll just claw for every last bit of grip.
Maximum activity for maximum traction. Got it. And the opposite scenario. Smooth, high grip track, like carpet, maybe?
Exactly. If you need maximum stability, maybe reduce chassis roll on a high bite surface like carpet, or maybe blue groove clay.
Yeah.
Keep the car flatter.
more control at high speed.
Yes. Then you go up to the yellow, hashtag 400CS. That thicker oil provides more pack, more hydraulic resistance. It slows down the weight transfer, keeps the chassis more stable and predictable in fast corners.
Okay, so we've got a plan. Orange 300 for baseline, red 200 for loose traction, yellow 400 for high grip stability. That really covers the bases for the rear end. We've basically engineered a really responsive, pretty resilient rear suspension system for your custom Frog now. It addresses that tricky rear weight bias with modern parts.
Yeah, it sounds like a potent setup for the back.
But suspension tuning is always about the whole car, isn't it? Balance.
Absolutely.
And we spent all this time on the sophisticated rear end.
Which leads to a pretty important question, doesn't it? Our whole deep dive here focused on this advanced rear suspension you've built.
Right.
But the stock Tamiya Frog, it has, well, basically undamped front suspension. Just coil springs, no oil shocks up front.
Yeah, bouncy front end.
So for a truly balanced car, a high-performance machine that actually matches the control you've just dialed in at the rear, what's the impact of that undamped front end going to be on overall handling? And really, what's the next logical upgrade to make this Frog truly competitive?